Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Twilight 2000, our post-apocalyptic, post-World War III survival game, where so far we've had 11 sessions and we've covered, 5 days of game time. Our intrepid, can I use the word heroes? Maybe not. Our intrepid survivors, I think, is what we'll use.
Yeah.
Are members, or were members, of the NATO forces that were in an offensive against the Soviet forces in Poland in the year 2000, in an alternate timeline where war came upon us all. We left it last time where our survivors recovered their truck and hid it so well that no one knows where it is, especially not Doddy. We are one player down today. Jake is, Jake is not available today. So as we advance the game on to the Sunday, the 26th of June, our intrepid survivors have had an extra full day of rest at the underground bunker they have claimed their own at the moment, in the woods south of the town of Konin. Well rested. They are going to church this morning. Jake plays Kobe. Kobe is the group's leader at the moment, after the unfortunate demise of Second Lieutenant Evan Parker. Kobe has sent Doddy, Grayson, and Isaac out on a recon mission. Kobe is going to stay at the Numbers bunker to watch over the American or half American children that you've rescued and their American mother, the CIA agent Maria Kaminsky, who was a CIA agent running the Numbers station. Isaac, you are taking Doddy, who is in charge as the next ranking military member. I know. It shows the faith that Kobe has on the restraint, the courage, the integrity that is Doddy. You've all been given civilian clothes. Doddy, you look very much like a Polish farmer. You're well warm and protected. The others, well, Isaac, you can go in your normal clothes. And Grayson, I think you got given a set of civilian clothes as well. You know that if you get into Conan, you are not going to be able to take any rifles with you. You might be able to get in with a pistol, but there is always a risk. But you also are going to need some identification, because Conan itself has a Free Polish militia led by a Colonel Wozniak, and they are protecting the residents. And the central section of Conan, where there is the river Vorta, and there is also a train station, and just slightly north of Conan, there's a coal-fired power station and some coal fields. You are going to need to get into Conan to recon this place out. You're going to need to first get some identification. Fortunately, Katarzyna and Isaac mentioned a Catholic priest who is fairly neutral in the situation. He's just looking out for the people that come to his church for guidance, for spiritual help, to mourn, to pray. And he has someone there that may be able to provide you with identification. So you have set out early on Sunday morning to head to the church, to try and get in there before Mass. But it also gives you a chance to see the lay of the land, the population that's in and around Conan. as you seek fuel, food, maybe some medical supplies. You have limited things to trade, so you are going to have to be inventive in how you obtain what you need. But you are going to need fuel, significant amount of fuel, or some way of generating fuel. You have a UAZ 469, a Polish military jeep, and there is also a Polish truck at the Kamiński farm that you've been told is in good working order. It just needs a bit of fuel. You may have to pop by the farm just to check it. You never really got a chance when you were at the farm a few days ago. So we start this session on a Sunday morning, fairly early. And I'm just going to... And the weather is as good as it's been. Not overcast. A little bit of cloud every now and again. But the summer sun is starting to poke above. The birds can be heard singing in the trees. As the three of you leave the numbers station, led by Isaac, heading at a slowish pace, because Grayson still has a busted ankle, heading for the Catholic Church. What are you guys taking with you?
I'm gonna suggest. I think Isaac might know of a little kind of ruined shack that's kind of part way between here and the church.
I think he probably does know that, yes.
And I think he suggests that they take their weapons with them, and we can hide them in the shack in case we have to make a getaway. We can make our way to the shack and get some weapons if we have to fight our way back.
Okay.
And obviously we don't want to lead anyone back to the numbers station, so we're going to scatter. I'll teach them a few basic phrases in Polish too, so that if anybody asks them a question like papers or anything like that, they know what the appropriate response will be. Okay,
so let's say you probably taught them 3 or 4 phrases. So papers is one.
Yeah.
What else would you have taught them?
Well, that's a really good question. I think what is your name would be one of them, right? If they're gonna have to, they're gonna have to respond to whatever name's on their papers. So if they hear that,
yeah, okay,
that phrase, what else is there gonna be? What else do you think, guys? What kind of phrases would you need to learn heading into enemy territory?
Or what other words would you need to learn?
What is your business here? Well, that's gonna be a difficult one to answer, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe yes or no in Polish would be good words to learn.
Yes, they certainly would be. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so yes, yes, no, thank you, sir, and
nice day,
phrase of papers, please.
Yeah.
Okay, I think.
I mean, Isaac might have a better idea as to the kind of questions that they're going to be asked, or quite likely to be asked if they go in.
Yeah,
rather than I do.
The problem you got is questions they're going to be asked. Is what's your business here? Where have you been? Where have you come from? So probably quite a lot of difficult phrases and questions to potentially teach them. But you know that you can jump in and maybe help them out, and I mean, you know that Grayson has got a slightly injured ankle, so he walks with a limp. So, that
when somebody says, what happened to you? I want him to be able to say, oh, it's a radial fracture on the tibia.
Oh, it hurts. Maybe that's a bit easier in Polish. I don't know. Okay, so, So you take your gear. So what are you actually physically, when you get into head to Conan, what are you going to be taking to Conan with you?
I mean, we're going into trade, aren't we?
You're going in basically to Recon
Okay.
On the area. And also...
Yeah, I don't know that we have much to trade with.
You've basically got...
Guns.
What's on the UAZ 460.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is basically you've got 4 knives, 1 AK-74, a tire iron, 1 smoke grenade, a Soviet military uniform, some water, some food, a chemical agent detector, some night vision goggles, 2 tires, 2 vehicle spare parts, 2 electronic spare parts, and a set of basic tools.
Okay. I mean, we're not going to take anything to trade with us right now. I think the only thing we really need to know is, do we know what the guy that's going to want to create the forged identities, what is he going to want?
You're probably going to be able to get him to do it for nothing.
Threats and intimidation.
No. He is sympathetic to your friend Kat.
Okay. Right.
And she went into Conan yesterday, and she has told you she will meet you at the church this morning. Now she, as you know, is a member of the Polish Home Army, a resistance group basically that first came about in the Second World War and has been reenacted in the Twilight War. And although you don't know any of her group, because it's a very cell-orientated setup, she did tell you about Father Pietro, who is not a member of a group, but he's neutral. He is a God-fearing man who has served this area in the communist period, in the period of the Twilight War, and in this post-Twilight War time. He is one to look after his flock, to provide aid to whoever needs it. One of those genuinely good people that would stand in front of someone with a gun to protect someone else and make an attempt to talk his way out of a situation. He has a groundsman, a caretaker who was in the centre of Conan for a few years. He is of a criminal background. Pre-war, he was part of a criminal organisation that forged currency, forged papers, forged pretty much anything they can get away with. And the group was involved in smuggling, Western contraband into what was communist Poland. This Thomas has done some time in prison. There's no prison in Conan. There's a prison probably about 30, 40 miles away. So he's done time. You know that he has done some work in Conan, but he's quite a strong individual, but he's got some skills, and he is sympathetic. He has no love for the Polish military governor, effectively, who is running Conan. And he was the one that forged your papers, because you're not from Conan originally. And it's typically the people of Conan, the natives, that got their identification. They got ration cards as well. The colonel has instigated rationing and work camps and work groups so that the people can earn, what they need to survive. And he's also got several people that will go out into the woods and the area around the town to hunt, to bring in fresh meat. That Thomas will be able to help you believe, and Kat's going to meet you there.
Okay.
So yeah, what Kobe has said, as I go looking for the Twilight 2000 channel on Discord, with all the amazing Discord channels that are there, Oh, good God alive. He's asked you to keep a lookout for Captain Gerard. And warns you that he is a villainous traitor. So you need to keep an eye out for him.
Not take any risks.
Yeah, don't take any risks.
Yeah.
Lean on Isaac for his knowledge of the area and language. And it's highly recommended that Rick and Doddy place a lot of credence in what he suggests during this foray. And trust will have to be placed on him to keep them alive. So yeah, first priority is keep the eyes and ears open for Captain Gerard. Description or activity regarding his whereabouts. Don't get into trouble. No risk to be taken. Intelligence collection, lay of the land, local scene and population, general level of activity in the area, number of armed locals and disposition, frequency of patrols and level of professionalism. He suggested use. Oh, yeah, sorry. He wants also information on any radio communications, any information regarding notos of slaves, but passive intelligence collection. No stupid heroics for targetless intelligence. You need to try and discover any assets, resources that could be easily absconded with. So he's looking for transportation, storage, routes of mobile patrols with advantage ambush points. He wants you to try and find someone to trade for fuel or a power generator. Trade for fuel. If asked why, maybe to suggest to run a power generator or farming equipment. But yeah, farm fuel. He said, remember, bullets are currency, so worst comes to worst, find valuable items we need as trade for them. So there you go.
All right, Kobe, we got it. We understand. It's going to be an in and out, just like a shopping trip to Lidl. It'll be fine.
I'm not so sure about taking an injured man along.
Well,
I mean, you understand that if anything goes wrong, we may have to leave you behind. And I say that to Rick.
Well, it is what it is.
climb down that ladder without any trouble with an injured leg.
That's true, we did.
We're not going to leave you behind, Rick. My goodness.
Also remember, you have pies with you as well.
He can drag you.
Aye. By the scruff of your neck. Aye. Aye. Get a scent of him. Go and sniff him. Go on.
Okay. He goes over and sniffs Rick. Kind of snuggles his nose on Rick's new civilian clothing that looks quite strange. And Donnie, for you, it's
nose away from my leg.
Smells the wound, the blood.
Dog was lying on my bed last night. The thing's a liability.
Actually, he was lying right below your bed.
You didn't see it when it snuck up though, eh? And jumped on crocodile. Bloody thing. My goodness. Liability that dog is. Come on, Pies, let's go.
It did kill a couple of the bad guys. It did save your life. Maybe. Who knows? So you head out. You drop any gear off. So what are you taking into the Catholic Church with you?
A good conscience.
Well, that's always a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Are you going to be taking weapons with you? Rick?
I think they...
Yeah, so I'm... See, would it be weird? I ask Isaac, would it be weird for somebody to be walking around with an axe? Or do they just restrict
No,
firearms.
Probably you'd be okay with an axe because it's a tool. It's something to use to chop wood, to chop pigs, and yes, legs. Yes, no, an axe would be fine. Yeah,
and I'm sure most people have knives at their belts. Like
most people have knives.
Yeah,
you've got your pistols. You could probably conceal your pistols enough.
That's what too.
Personally, it kind of feels like it might be a bit weird carrying an axe into a church. I mean, I know we're in a post-apocalypse here, but...
I mean, before we walk into the church, I'd probably lean it up against,
that's fine.
The door. I meant, like, just going.
No.
I mean, you are going to the church to get there before services begin.
I know a place where we can stash some weapons if we need to make a little cache as well, so...
So you're pretty much...
See, but are you like we stash our rifles there? Or...
that's what
I was just going to leave my rifle and stuff at the number station.
Well, and you know that I don't have any faith in you guys, but if we have to make a quick getaway and we're pursued, we might want to be able to deter.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, so you take a rifle and some personal weapons, and you head out. You drop the extras off at a little hunting shack hidden away. There's a bunk underneath on the bottom, and you kind of just hide them underneath the bunk. Throw a few extra leaves into the inside as if it's blown open and leaves have been blown in.
I'm assuming Dodd and I have left our flak jackets and helmets.
I would imagine you would leave your flak jackets and helmets back there as well.
That's not civilian.
Exactly, you're wearing civilian clothes.
Wearing clothes, flak jacket off, no helmet. I'm taking a knife.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I've got.
Okay.
That's all I need.
Are you taking and wearing your dog tags?
No, they're not.
Okay.
No.
I don't have any.
Well,
you will have dog tags, yes. They're just not on your inventory because it's a minor item, but yes, you will have dog tags.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not taking them.
Okay, so you head out. It's a very pleasant Sunday morning. I said you can hear the birds singing. There's a slight wind blowing as you head through the woods, and Isaac, you lead them on towards a Catholic church. Now, Isaac, the Catholic Church, translated into English, is St. Mary Magdalene in Conan, or Pafia Maria Magdalenia Wien, something like that in Polish.
Mary Magdalene.
Yes, but it's St. Mary Magdalene's church, and it is a real church. So be respectful.
Always.
So you come out of the main forest area and into an area of more rolling fields, buildings, and a lot of these buildings have suffered damage or been abandoned. And you come into the church lands. You can see quite a long set of steps and pathway up to a double door, and there's an arched stained glass window. And you kind of look on the left part of the roof, and you can see there are several large holes in the roof where it received battle damage. You can see some electric lights that used to illuminate up this path, and you can see they're all kind of either gone, smashed, broken. Beautiful brass traditional lighting. And as you kind of walk up, you can see the steps going up, you can see the 4 pillars. The white stone construction is dirtied, not as clean as what it would have been pre-war. You can see there are bits of stone broken, and you see that the church itself is in quite a state. Above the central section, above the doorway, there is a cross and the cross kind of leans slightly to one side, as if it was damaged and hasn't been fixed yet. Now, you know, you've been here before. The various sections of the roof have collapsed or took damage, and there's only small parts of the church that are actually usable. And a lot of the amazing artifacts that were in the church itself, there was some fantastic stained glass windows, some beautiful candlesticks, and beautiful other accoutrements of the Catholic religion, and a lot of those are gone. There was a lot of looting. And from what you heard when you arrived in Conan and you met Father Stur for the first time, is it was actually the Polish militia coming into town and starting to take control and install some law and some order, even if it's harsh military law, that stopped a lot of the looting. And Father Stur, for the last 18 months, has been trying to gather materials and people with skills to repair the roof, repair the church. And you can see as you're walking up this long pathway, up the small amount of steps, you can see the door is open, and you can see an individual. You know him as Thomas. He's quite a muscular individual, quite short but quite muscular, and he's at the moment got a bucket and a water, and he's trying to clean some of the stone outside of the main door. He kind of hears the approach of you and kind of looks, and recognizing you, Isaac, he just kind of waves at you as you head towards the church.
And so I kind of just gesture him over.
He kind of heads towards you, leaves the bucket there, and you can see he throws it used to be a yellow sponge, but it's quite dirty now. He kind of just leaves that in the bucket and kind of just walks. He doesn't come close to you, and his eyes are more turning towards Rick and to Doddy, to faces and people he doesn't know. In Polish, morning.
Morning.
Bit early for service.
Not here for service. Well,
Ked said we were having visitors today.
oh, have you seen her?
She's inside taking confession. We all have to confess our sins.
Yeah, just look down at the ground as he says that, and then back up.
Your friends.
Where we need
he says something to in your direction, Rick and Doddy, but you don't understand him. It's definitely very fast Polish that he speaks.
We need to get into Conan. They need papers.
And troublemakers?
Definitely not. Do you think you can have them done by the end of service?
No, you can have them done quicker than that. Father will want you away before service starts, I'm sure.
How is he?
He is cheerful. It is Sunday. It is his day. His time to heal those that have problems. I believe he is going into Conan tomorrow to try and scrounge some supplies for the roof. Maybe, I do not know, some metal, I think, to get some supports up there. Perhaps he kind of looks over at the two that are with you. Perhaps your friends will be able to assist at some point in the future if they're hanging around. I'm sure Father Stur would appreciate it. Come.
I follow him in. I gesture to the other two. Follow.
You will need to leave your rifle in the entranceway. Kind of opens, the main doors are open. There's a little side door. You can put it in there. It's safe.
Yeah, I unsling it. I've done this before.
No one will steal from a church. Not anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to smile at that. Says it's the militia that are enforcing the law.
Yeah. He takes you inside, kind of motions to Doddy and to Rick. Come in. Fortunately, Isaac, in these days when you're doing to take photographs of your friends, I should get their papers done. Now, what are their names?
I'm going to just come up with a couple of random Polish names.
Okay. He's quickly searching for a Polish name generator.
Yeah.
Or popular Polish names. Michael, Pieter, Thomas. Hang on, I've got my list of Polish names up here.
Do they do Heinrich, or is that too German?
It's a bit too German. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go for a couple of say. We got no, that's I can't even pronounce that one. Donat Pasternak.
Donat.
Donut.
Well, we'll say you come up with two appropriate names.
And so I'm gonna tell them. I tell Dodd and Rick.
Okay, yeah.
You are gonna be, and I'll be deadly serious as I say this and mention these names and how it's pronounced. That's
okay.
Your name.
Okay. You enter the Catholic Church. Through the doors, you can see a main centre section. You look left, you can see the main area of the church. Benches inside. You can see, looking left and looking up, the holes in the roof, the damage to the roof itself, a few blown out windows that have been boarded up on one side. And you can see confessional booths. And you can see Kat sat at the front, kneeling down in prayer. And you can see Father Stur, Pieter Stur, coming out of the confessional booth, takes off his confessional bits and bobs. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not Catholic. And he kind of looks and heads over to you. Isaac.
Father.
You've come to confess your sins before Mass? You know my door is always open. You have
One
friends.
day I shall make use of it. Indeed, and I introduce them with their new names.
Okay. He kind of turns and starts speaking rapidly to the mayor. Good to meet you. Welcome to St. Mary Magdalene's Church in Conan. My name is Father Stur. And it's kind of going out probably too fast for
Well, they won't be able to understand that.
And they're kind of I don't know, what are you doing? This guy's talking to a Roman Catholic priest, and are you trying to
Nodding along, just
nodding along?
nodding and
Okay.
just and then looking at
Doing the
He kind of stops. Isaac, your new friends are interesting.
Everybody's welcome here, right?
Indeed. You see, he turns to Doddy and Rick, and in English says, "Good morning, gentlemen. You are welcome here, and you are safe here." He kind of turns to you, Isaac, keeps English up. I think it is safer if, while we're here in the privacy of the church, we speak so everyone can understand.
As you wish.
Any friends of Isaac are friends of mine. You are safe in this place of worship.
I'm waiting to see how Dad responds.
I say, thank you, Father.
You're most welcome. That accent is Scottish, yes?
Aye, from the lowlands.
I do not know the lowlands, but I know that
There are more like here.
Yes.
Rolling hills, the farms. It's a beautiful place. You'd feel quite at home, as I do here.
That is good to hear. Good to hear. Well, please, let us go into my study, my library, or what is left of it. And then, Isaac, you can tell me a story. He kind of sees that Thomas has gone off.
Yeah.
Going into town, are you?
We need these gentlemen. They need supplies. They need to get home.
It is hard to be away from your home, to be away from family. I hope you find what you need, Isaac, but please be careful there. It is a dangerous, dangerous place. You know that.
Yeah, I understand.
Avoid trouble.
No, that's the last thing that we're looking for at the moment.
Come. Takes you into a little side room away. You can see as you go in, you can see Kat turns and sees you as you just kind of disappear into the room and just kind of goes back down to what she was doing. It's the room they lead you into would have been an office of some description. But the window is boarded up. The table is just a piece of wood and two old bookcases. And there's a Bible on the table itself. Not a lot else in the room. There's a coat hook with a coat on it. There's a little cot, sleeping cot for him in there. There's a little bedside cabinet. There's some pictures. But a lot of the other sort of fineries you'd expect in an office of this individual, definitely not there. And again, there's bullet holes in the actual walls that you thought that probably would have been fixed first. But it looks an absolute reminder of the chaos that war brings, the harm that it can bring, and maybe a reminder for him of where the world is now. He kind of pulls out some folding chairs. They're pretty knackered. They're pretty not a great state, but they're something to sit on. Please, sit.
Father, we've heard that there are some captured American soldiers that are being forced to work the mines. And are you aware of this?
Yes, there are Polish prisoners. There are some Americans.
Polish prisoners, as in convict?
Yes. The militia take in who they can. They feed them. They give them shelter. They make them work hard. And they dig the coal.
Do you happen to know how many American soldiers are there?
I have not been up to the camp, but I would not imagine too many. Most of the workforce is people from the town. They work there to earn their rations. And some of the prisoners, yes, I do not agree with it. But there is very little I can do bar stamp my displeasure upon the Colonel.
Well, I'm sure he
ignores it totally, yes. He's not a God-fearing man.
Well...
And your friends, are they God-fearing men? Of course, all in English for you, so you can all speak if you want to. You have families that you want to go home to, yes?
Yes.
Good. Well, what is it you are going to Conan for? Perhaps I can help you and point you in the right direction while Thomas gets you the identification you need.
We're looking for fuel.
Well, there is a few places that you could go. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Conan and what is there. Colonel Wozniak has a force of militia. Some of them are Polish army, a lot of them are locals that he has trained up. There is a garrison in the town itself, but the majority of his forces are out in 2 other locations, at the mine site where the prisoners are held and at the power station. At the power station, there is a large still to produce fuel.
Is there somebody there we could speak to that may be able to negotiate with?
I would need to see what I can find out about it. The still is within the camp. There is another one, someone else you can go and see in town. It's Fritz Handler. He's an East German, but you need to be careful of him. The rumors are he used to work for the Stasi before the reunification of Germany. Stasi, for those of it was the East German Ministry for State Security, the East German KGB as such. And brutal and nasty. But I believe that when unification happened, he wanted to head to Moscow. He ended up in Poland when the war started. He ended up here. But he runs one of the shops in the town. He also is able to obtain things that others might not be able to give you. That you need to be careful of him.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't be willing to deal with Americans, right?
Not likely, but you may be able to persuade him, Isaac, if you have something he wants. I believe that once a week a fuel tanker comes from the power station to the town to be used. I don't know how much or on what day, but I believe it's once a week.
How far is the depot from the town?
It is only a few kilometers outside of town. I do not have a map, but north of Conan, you have a few kilometers out, you have the power station. It hasn't worked for years, but I believe that Wozniak is getting anyone with technical skills to try and repair it. I do not know how they are getting on with that. And then about another 6-7 kilometers away is the mine. It is not an underground mine. It is how did I say, a surface mine. They clear off all the surface crap and then they extract the coal.
Open cast mining. Aye, I know it.
They do have some machinery, but most of the work is done by hand. Hence why there's a lot of workforces there. And yes, there are NATO. I do not think there are any Russian prisoners there. And anyone that breaks the law, if they're not executed or dealt with in town, they head up there to serve a sentence.
When were you last in town, Father?
Last Monday. I'm due to go tomorrow. I tend to go there once a week, but everyone from the town is always welcome here. We are getting a few more people coming to Mass every week, but there is a lacking of belief. We lost so many people last winter. The dysentery was rife. Medical supplies were hard to come by. But that is the world.
It's a test of faith, right enough.
Indeed. But hold on to your faith, it will keep you strong. It may make you able to get home.
That is true.
And maybe one day the world will not have so much chaos.
There are those who have faith in chaos, Father.
Faith in chaos leads them to dark places.
Aye.
But the town, you will have to be careful. Try not to talk too much. Your accents are noticeable, but there are some that are sympathetic to the Western Europeans. But the majority are pro-communist.
Well, thank you for your hospitality, Father. Is there anything we can do to repay you?
No, it is fine. I am sure that in time, there'll be a time when I will need you, Isaac. See the dog pie is just kind of... You have a working dog there. Yours, Isaac?
No.
Father, if you give him a little bit of attention, he's all yours. You could use him around here, yeah?
No, it is fine. It will be good to assist your disguise.
Oh, aye. Hear that, Pies? Jump up here, lad, and be my moustache, will you?
He kind of puts his paws on your Saturnian leg.
Yeah.
Go on, down. I was joking. Go on,
I look at Rick and I'm thinking, as if to say, is he joking? He's joking, right?
When does Pie start rolling to understand English?
Um,
And then after that, has to start rolling to understand Scottish accents.
Oh dear. Well, maybe he's got a better grasp of languages than you give him credit for.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Yes, he will be a good to help with disguise. Your friend here looks like a farmer. This dog looks like a farm dog. Pies, you say? Yes. Smart.
Huh. You know what, Father?
What, my son?
I am a farmer.
Really?
I wish I still had the land to work.
Well, there's plenty of land here to work.
Well, I'll be getting home to mine if it's all the same. But thank you.
I understand. Well, you have options. There is boats traveling the river now. You realize that, yes?
I hadn't heard.
Yes. There's a couple of coal-powered barges. They get their coal from Osniak, but they go out up the river trading for supplies.
Are they part of Wozniak's militia?
I believe that some of them he sends militia guards, but they are the boat captains. They get the coal that they need to run their boats. If they get supplies in or go and do things for the militia, they get the coal.
Are any of them sympathetic?
I do not know on their political sympathies. That is something that you will need to look at.
Well, good to know. Thank you.
I believe that Wozniak, when he is not at the mine, there is a train carriage that he inhabits when he's in the center of town, at the station. If you want to go check things out, you may be able to get close. I do not know. I just want you to be safe, and please. He kind of looks at both Rick and Doddy. Try not to cause trouble.
Not looking for any.
Here for trouble. It's not in our interests. What's going on here is just a necessary distraction for us. We're not here to influence it. We're not here to change anything. It's your fate that you have to work with here, Father, and those around you. So we're not here to cause trouble. We just want to get home. That's all.
Well, these people are my concern.
Aye.
People of the town. They are my flock.
You shouldn't want a sheepdog to help round them up occasionally.
They have to come to church willingly.
Please take the dog.
I think he is too attached to you.
Not me.
No, not you. Not perhaps your friend here.
Well, Pies, you hear that? We're going for a walk, eh? Let's go.
Well, I have to get ready for service. I am sorry I could not offer you refreshments.
Thank you all the same. And then I say in Polish, oh, by the way, there may be another American that passes through the area. His name is Gerard. Don't trust him.
Thank you. Well, he kind of leads you out. And you can see Kat is sat outside. Hey, Zach. Kind of looks to you, Doddy. She says, "Did you finish off the rabbit stew this morning?"
Aye.
Good.
Very much.
Good.
Was a fine meal for the morning. Thank you.
Dinner this evening you will have to sort out.
Well, I'm sure I can manage to rustle up a rabbit or two just like you did.
That would be interesting. She kind of turns, Father, thank you. You're most welcome, my child. Most welcome. Well, I bid you farewell. You are, of course, always welcome to stay for service if you wish to. Find a place at the back if you feel you need to hear God's words.
I look at the two Americans. Well, the two East. They're not both Americans, are they anymore?
God, he got fed up being called an Englishman as a Welshman, and then he goes and calls them two Americans. I'm shocked.
I should have said NATO troops or whatever, right?
Allies.
Yeah.
Westerners.
Yeah, allies. Yeah. Yes, Westerners. And kind of shrug. Do they want to stay for service?
Up to you.
Let's get going. It'll just draw attention to ourselves. We need to be quick. Let's go.
Okay, you can see Thomas is waiting outside And you head out of the church, leaving Father Stir inside. He kind of looks around, hands each of you some identification cards. Now, I am going to make a forgery roll.
In secret.
No. I'm going to make it public.
Oh.
So you can see
just how up shit creek you are.
Potentially. Okay, he does have a forgery kit. Make sure we make this. No, because it will it will influence the item I put in your inventory. So, okay. Look, the UAZs is a fantastic job. Freaking UAZ again. Okay, so I am now going to put into Doddy and Grayson's character sheets some ID. Where is it?
Never trust an off-road military light utility vehicle to make your fortune.
No, exactly. So we're going to have.
Let us down yet.
In fact, it's been pretty damn good recently.
The only thing that's stopping it from forging those papers is it's got no
arms.
Yeah, opposable thumbs. Can't hold the pen.
Okay, so you're both going to have, in a moment, identification papers that have a reliability of 1.
That doesn't sound great.
It wasn't a great roll.
Okay, right.
You saw the roll. There were no successes.
There you go.
Wow.
That's exactly what they look like, by the way.
That's exactly what, but no picture. So you've got an identity card with 1. Don't keep clicking that button. Right, okay, so you've all got a reliability of 1. Effectively, the higher rating you have, the harder it is to detect. It is a forgery. Okay.
It's better than 0. It
is better than 0. It is better than 0, yes. So, you kind of, it's basically just a set of papers with the name on it, where you come from. To you, you can't even read what it says on there. But yeah, they look okay-ish, I guess. You kind of maybe look at them as they're handed to them, Isaac. Looks like they may have been a bit rushed, but they may hold up. Maybe. That is the best I could do in the time that we have. So I will leave you to it. He kind of picks up the bucket and goes outside and starts cleaning again as you all head out of St. Mary Magdalene's Church and head towards Conan.
Isaac.
Yes.
Are we... Isaac, Thomas, is he good? Will we get by? What? I have no idea what these are supposed to look like.
It's whatever happens, try not to get stopped.
Aye.
That's your best defense.
Aye.
I'm sure we'll do great with our inability to speak the language. Looking forward to it.
Well, I mean, what could go possibly wrong?
I mean, if we happen to get separated, try and meet back at the church, yeah?
Aye.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll old woman who thinks she's my mother.
Oh, she died.
I'm sure there's one in every town.
No, probably not. Not this time. Maybe it'll be Doddy's mother this time. Okay. So you head off north towards Conan itself. And it's as you get further north, there's less rural aspects of it, and there's more buildings. But a lot of the buildings are quite dilapidated, destroyed. They're all pretty much abandoned. You occasionally see some people working, and when you see people around, there's gardens, and they're tending to work the ground, growing food. And most of the time they kind of see you, and they kind of look, and they kind of all huddle away from you. And you get onto one of the roads heading into Conan itself, and again getting further in to the city, and it's very much like how Tarek was. Lots of destroyed buildings, windows shattered out. Some of the buildings aren't destroyed, but they've been abandoned. But there definitely is less people than you anticipate in a town of this sort of size. I mean, pre-war, it would have had 25,000 population. But you, Isaac, know that the last 2 winters have been fairly harsh. Disease has went through Conan very rifely, as it has a lot of towns. And there is a smell, decay, desolation. You know, the rubbish that is on the ground, it's not, you know, snack bar packets, bottles, but, you know, it's animal feces. It's rotten leaves. Water you see tends to be dirty. Every now and again you do see that some people have, you know, rain catchment on these structures. As you're going in a bit further and you see a few more people, you can see in the distance washing lines with some washing hanging on them. And as you look further into the north, you almost see past some of the buildings, and there's hills beyond Conan itself, and you can see the hills where the mines are, and you can see the different colours of the hills that have been carved up. Not green, but, you know, muddy or sandy. And you keep walking in, and you see a few more people heading in or heading out. You see a few more people actually heading out and passing you, heading back the way towards the church. And you can see now you're coming up on a checkpoint. You can see some buildings to the left and right are either destroyed or partially destroyed. You can see metal gates over the road aspect. You can see in Polish, English, and looks like Russian. And you all see the respective languages you speak. So for Doddy and Grayson, you see underneath some large Polish letters and some looks like Russian letters. You see checkpoint in English. The large letters are a checkpoint in Polish, and you assume that the letters underneath the Polish is checkpoint in Russian because it's a Cyrillic language.
I say quietly to Isaac. All right, Isaac. Let's get through there then, eh?
You can see
Just keep quiet.
the double gates are open. The road gate is open. You can see a militiaman stood there, uniform for the military men in the group. They look fairly smart. They don't look dishevelled. There's definitely been some training there. They stand and look very alert as they're stood there. And you can see that this Polish soldier, this militiaman, and he's got the Polish flag on his arm. He's got Polish rank insignia on. He's got an AKM rifle. He's got a torch in his belt, knife. How he's standing, it looks like he has had some military training. Along with him, there is a woman. Can't be that old, must be early 20s. Not much of a looker, but again, she's wearing a uniform. She's over by the single gate on the path side, where she's checking identification for people going in. But what you, especially Doddy and Grayson, what kind of makes you take an intake of breath, a slight pause, is on the other side of the road gate, parked behind some sandbags, is a T-72 tank. And you can see there is a militiaman sat in the hatch, feet dangling inside, with a cigarette. And you can see there is another man down by the tracks looking to do... He's fiddling with the tracks themselves. You can see that it's not brand new equipment. It's got battle damage on it. There are indentations where it may have taken a shell. Most of its explosive reactive armor that's on the turret is gone. There is a machine gun above the hatch. There is a main gun, a 125mm gun. The turret's not moving or anything like that. The gun is in position. From where it's positioned to the right of the road on the other side of the checkpoint, it looks like they must be able to maneuver it, because it won't be able to stop anyone at distance. It will need to be moved into the road area to actually have an effective fire down the road towards you. But the last time you saw tanks such as this was the night when the Soviet tanks raced through the military hospital that you were all started off in, indiscriminately shooting. Although they don't look like the same tanks, there's slightly different camouflage colour on them, there's different markings on them. It does kind of bring back to the brutality that you saw on that first night when you escaped. The death and the destruction kind of flashes back in your minds as you see this tank here. Do
we know if the markings are specific to any of the Russian factions, the KGB or the RGU?
GIU. They have Polish markings on them.
No Polish.
Was this here last time Isaac passed by the way? Was that tank there?
No, probably wasn't.
Okay.
No, definitely wasn't here. But it's been about 4 days you've been out and about. You had heard that there were some tanks, but you thought they were up guarding the power station, which is north of Conan, on the other side of the river.
So we're just going to stroll up to the checkpoint. Is that
you can see the single door is there, and you can see there's a Polish militiaman. You see someone going in front of him. They just hand the identification. He kind of looks at it, and he doesn't seem to be paying too much attention to it. Occasionally says some words to it, but most people seem to be going about their business.
Okay, now I'm not sure. Should I go first? Probably, right?
Up to you.
Yeah.
We haven't broken our stride as we do this, but
No, this is it.
That's it. This is what you do is you kind of get in the queue. It's just that almost pause as you cross the road and you see that tank there, and and you carry on.
I mean, I reach into my pocket, I pull out the papers so that Dottie and Rick can see exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I walk straight across towards the guy at the checkpoint. Okay.
Can you just make a random roll, a random D100 roll, Mark?
D100 roll.
If it's 1 to 50, you have seen this individual before, this guard before.
Okay. 79. I have not seen this fella.
So this fella, you have not seen this fella before.
Okay. Right. I've kind of walked towards him. And I've got my papers in my hand. I just kind of hand them to him as we approach. Are you going as a group, or are you trying to separate? Yeah, I think we'll go as a group. Yeah.
He kind of looks at papers in Polish.
I hand it to him.
And kind of looks at your papers.
Yeah, I reach out and just put mine just right next to them.
Okay.
Expecting trouble? I say, gesturing to the tank.
Precautionary. Just got it up and running. I say up and running. The tracks are locked. They're not having so much fun. You see the tank commander up there. He is not a happy fellow. The colonel will, I'm sure, punish him for getting it down here and getting it stuck. He kind of looks at the papers and kind of glances over and looks at no success with the hunting then.
No, not this time. I don't know. Maybe the rabbits are getting wise. Maybe I'm losing my touch.
It's maybe that gun of yours is no good. You see, Cat is with you. Maybe you use a crossbow like her. She kind of smiles, and you can see that she has kind of taken her jacket off and has it kind of hanging over her arm, and she definitely is being more how can I say this politely? She's got her breasts sticking out a little bit more than she normally would do. As he checks her ID out. In fact, he kind of holds her ID, kind of is looking at her, not looking at the ID. Thank you. Please, go on in. You see, pause, sniffs him. Yeah, your dog. Yes.
It's his dog. I point at Dottie.
What's his name? Doddy starts saying something to you that you don't understand.
I whistle as I go at Pies.
Okay, comes straight back, runs straight up to you,
and I get him to jump, and I just go like this to him. I just go
to try and get him to jump up.
No, this is
gonna get him to bark
for speak.
Is it dog training?
Right. I don't know if he does it or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a command roll. Go Doddy, go Doddy, go Doddy, go Pies.
Pies is cool. Oh dear.
kind of looks at you. He's in the car. I like dog. They like most women. Disrespectful. No offense, madam. You see, Pies then tears away from you. He crosses the inside of the road from the inside of the checkpoint, goes over to the tank, cocks his leg, and pisses on the tank wheel. And you can see the car smiles.
Yeah. Lubrication.
And you can see the tank commander. Oh, what the fucking
Yeah. And I would just be sorry.
The guard on the gang, go on through. That just made me smile. And the young lady, where can I find you on a late night, my young dear? I'm probably in his bed. She points at Isaac. You're a lucky fella. She kind of walks past him, and you all kind of get in to the centre of Conan. And with it being 10:30, I think we'll take our little break now. So you have made it through the first checkpoint and into the main part of Conan, the controlled and protected zone. You walk in, and you need to think back to images for you guys from the Second World War of Berlin after the end of the war, the destruction that was done there. And that's pretty much what you are seeing, or even in fact some of the terrible scenes from Ukraine at the moment. You're seeing damaged and destroyed buildings, people walking around. There does seem to be a bit of purpose to a lot of people, and you can see in what was a building, definitely was a building from the infrastructure, and you can see gardens have been made. Terrain and rubble has been moved away, and people are tending gardens, growing food. You do see some children playing, but they've all keeping very close to the adults that are there. So, what are you looking for? Now you've got into a more active area. People are tending to keep themselves to themselves. What are you looking for?
I mean, I think the East German guy, is that what we're going to go check out? Was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're also just keeping an eye for the random arms, anybody bearing arms, anybody looking like they're militia, anybody who's driving vehicles that are military, you know, any signs of force that might be of interest.
I mean, we've been told that a lot of the guards and that are up at the mine and the power station.
Yeah.
But obviously we've seen an increased presence down here because of the tank. And are there more soldiers wandering around down here now?
Okay, well, so basically you're just going to have a good look around. Just lay alarms. Yeah. Okay. There does seem to be militia around. You know, they're not walking alone. You will, as you'll, spend, I don't know, half an hour just enjoying walking around, seeing people, and people do seem to be trying to live their lives. You do see some civilians that have revolvers, pistols, or knives, some axes and some tools. You don't see anyone really too much with automatic weapons. you do see a couple of militiamen that seem to be walking around, and again, their uniforms seem to be fairly okay.
How do these citizens seem to react to these guys? I mean, do they seem intimidated or afraid of them at all?
No, not really. They seem like, you know, the previous times you've been in this main area, you know, they are providing law and order. They are keeping the peace. The militia are primarily supplying some commodities they need, you know, fuel. So they don't seem to, the civilian population don't seem to be terrified of them. And as you head into the main central part, you do see a few more people. Not many road vehicles, quite a few horses and carts. You did see what looks like the back of a pickup truck that's had its front taken off and is being pulled by a horse and just used as a wagon as such. You do see a single UAZ 469, very similar to the Jeep that you guys have got.
We don't have a Jeep.
Oh, sorry, it's hidden. Yeah. Well, Doddy hasn't seen the Jeep, but yeah, yes, there's a Russian Jeep that is driving around. You can hear in the distance, coming from outside the town, the ringing of bells. But everything seems quite pleasant. I mean, it is a Sunday morning. It seems quiet, but people are going about their business. You kind of go round a corner and you can see there is a building. There's a militia guard outside. There's some sandbags around the door. And the sign in Polish for you, Isaac, is militia. You do see there is a body hanging by the neck from a lamppost. Neck obviously broken. And you can see there is a sign pinned on to the chest of the young man. I don't know, 17, 18, 19, quite young. Looks like it's been there not too long. There's a few flies buzzing around it. And the sign says, "This is what you get for stealing medication." And it's just literally hanging there by the neck. And there's a militiaman 10 feet away, just stood there with the assault rifle out. Hey, Ty! Sorry. The assault rifle out. And just stood there. Doesn't seem to be paying much attention to the fact there's a corpse hanging by the neck from a lamppost.
Is that
Keep on walking.
Yeah. Is that a barracks? Is that what it looks like?
It looks like possibly a barracks or a watch station of some description.
Okay.
Actually, can you all make a recon roll?
Try.
I'm doing my best just to stay upright.
Yeah. Your leg's aching a bit now.
Yeah.
And You are.
But I'm determined not to show weakness to Isaac. No,
but you're kind of caught. It's like staring at the body, and UAZ 469 was that Doddy. I think UAZ 469 was Doddy. Both Doddy and Isaac, you notice that there is a radio antenna on the top of the building. It's only a 3-story building, but you see the radio antenna hanging over. And as you kind of don't notice that, Grayson, you're kind of that body is kind of almost shocks you slightly. And as you, Doddy and Isaac, kind of spot it, you kind of turn to your right, and you can see there's an open area, and there's a helicopter in the center of this like park. And you...
Is it like the one we saw flying?
You did see one flying over. Yes, it's an old American Huey helicopter. And you can see there is an individual, and it's, you know, it's a good 40 or so meters away from you, but you can see there's an individual there, quite not tall, quite short, 5'6", very scraggly hair. A little bit of beard, and he's smoking a cigarette.
And I suppose Doddy or Rick recognise this fella.
Or does he recognise us, more importantly?
Right.
Well, Doddy, Doddy seems to have noticed the helicopter as well. Rick is kind of...
I haven't seen him.
No, he's still kind of looking at the body hanging up. Doddy, you don't recognise him from this distance. You've never seen this individual before in your life, but he's there smoking a cigarette.
What kind of cigarette is it? Can we smell? Or
you can't smell anything from it. You can't smell anything from it, no.
So we take note of that as we walk past.
Rick, you kind of keep walking, and you kind of almost bump into Doddy, staring across the other side to your right. You kind of had this fixation on this body.
We're being calm about it. We're still walking. We're not. Yeah.
That's fine.
Slow down maybe a wee bit.
Exactly.
We're not obvious. We're being.
But Rick wasn't watching you. He was watching the hanging body. So
I was looking at the body.
Yeah. Slight bump in, and again you can see they're all, as they're walking along, slowed down a second, looking at a helicopter, a Bell Huey helicopter.
Looking at it, but not looking at it. Just kind of, it's normal. We've seen this before. We know this helicopter. We've seen this. It's not of any special notice to us. We're just kind of...
just looking around. Yeah.
You can see there's a few other kids, primarily, that are not getting close to it, but there's a bit of fence, and they're all kind of looking at it. And there's some quite young kids, and they're looking at it in wonder, as if they possibly hadn't seen something like this before, or hadn't seen something like this in a long time. And granted, you have seen 2 helicopters now in the past week, but before that, you hadn't seen any for about 18 months.
Oh, so this might be the first time this chopper has been here.
Yeah.
If the kids are looking at it like, oh.
That sounds plausible.
Not that Rick is aware of that. Rick is still thinking about that swinging body.
Well, you can see the helicopter now. You kind of bumped into Doddy and saw that they were walking along, slowed down, and they're looking at the helicopter.
Right.
So yeah. I mean, you do see the helicopter, and you see the kids there, just kind of looking at it in wonder almost. You're right, in wonder.
Yeah, take note
How old
and keep walking. But as we were going past,
Yeah.
we're not going to stop and.
And it's not like a crowd of people around, is there?
There's not a crowd. There's a few people around you, but nothing unusual. I mean, the town's
As
population.
in, we probably shouldn't stand here gawking because nobody else is, except for the children.
We're moving. We're moving.
Yeah, you are moving. You are moving.
So we walk.
I mean, am I
Is
able
Away
to,
from it, are we?
What, from the helicopter? About 40 meters or so.
Okay.
It's like across the road, and there is a like a park area. Looks like it's been an area that's been separated off, bit of flat grass.
So I try to hobble within range of Isaac, and I use the haft of the axe that I've been using as kind of like a cane to tap him on the shoulder to get his attention when there's nobody nearby.
Yeah.
And I ask him like, what was the note on the body?
it said that he'd been stealing medicine.
And then, yeah, just back to walking.
Okay. So you continue walking. You can see as you go a bit further on what looks like a slightly more elegant styled building, an older building, probably into the early 50s construction. You can see two militiamen at the top of the steps, quite high up steps. There's a Polish flag flying from a flagpole. And the building, I mean, Isaac, you know, this is the old town hall. It's where issues are discussed or put.
It's also the new town hall.
It is also the new town hall, yes. So you can see two militia soldiers stood, weapons at a guard position. And for the military members of the team, so Doddy and Grayson, you can see that these guys are stood properly at attention. Their uniforms are pristine in how they're looked after. Buttons are done up. Doesn't seem to be any real dirt on them. And as you're moving, you can see the door just opening. And you can see a gentleman in a Polish military uniform, an officer, comes striding down past these two guards. And with them, Doddy, you can see a balding fellow with a bit of beard that you haven't seen in a few days. You see Casper from Tarek. No Boris, though. And you can see he is walking alongside this colonel, and they are walking towards the helicopter.
We're beyond the helicopter at this point.
You are past the helicopter. You know it's behind you and over there, but they are walking across the street to the helicopter.
So they're going to walk. Are we?
You're not in direct view between. You're not in a position between them and the helicopter. You're off almost to the right.
Okay, so without trying to draw any attention to ourselves,
and you can see they are deep in talking.
Yeah.
And they get across the road to the fencing. You can Are you continuing on and going out of sight, or are you trying to be in a position where you can just see what's going on?
I go back to Rick and just tap, just like knock on his side, just some really not trying to be a big. I just tap and just try
draw his attention,
just in case he's seen him, to see what reaction he gives.
Okay.
If he's seen him, but that's it. And then we keep walking, and I just
okay.
Just to see. I just want to know if he spotted them too.
Okay, yeah, I think Rick did spot them. Isaac, you just see two guys, the Colonel Wozniak and some civilian that's walking with him. They seem to be heading towards the helicopter.
Okay.
Keep walking.
Okay. You keep walking and you kind of go round the corner and lose sight of the helicopter.
Let's stop on the corner, if I may.
All right, okay,
I want to stop on the corner and kind of look back. I'm kind of watching them because Isaac has heard through the Free Army, hasn't he, about somebody, like Colonel Wozniak, doing some deal with a guy called the Merchant of Tarek.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, so he kind of stops on the corner. He kind of looks back, kind of casually.
Okay, yeah.
And he's kind of looking to see. I mean, they're just heading for the helicopter, right?
I seem to be heading for the helicopter, yes.
Okay. Is Wozniak getting on board, or is it just the civilian?
No, the civilian is there. You can see they get to the fenced-off area. You can see the civilian kind of holds his hand out. The colonel shakes his hand. A brief discussion, and then the colonel turns and heads back. And the civilian goes to the helicopter. You can see the individual smoking the cigarette kind of just flicks the cigarette onto the floor, opens the pilot's door and opens the sliding door on the helicopter. And you can see there's a stretcher in there. And there is someone on the stretcher. Two militiamen now come out from the militia office where the body was hanging, head over, and you can see they go over to the helicopter, they take the stretcher out, and you can see that there is a figure face down on the stretcher. You can't see face or anything. Covered up in a sheet, not fully, his head is exposed, right, but you still can't see his head. He's not dead, and you can see they start moving the stretchered figure to one of the other buildings. You can see the balded man kind of gets into the helicopter. The individual who had the cigarette kind of pulls the door closed. He kind of climbs into the pilot's seat, kind of pulls the pilot's door closed, reaches down to start flicking on switches, and then his eyes almost seem to go over to the corner where you're on and where you're stood. And Doddy is, and Grayson is stood there.
They carried on going.
Oh, you carried on. You carried on going. Okay.
Yeah, no,
that's okay. He's then is staring at you, Isaac, and it's you're a sniper. Your eyesight is pretty damn good. He smiles and then turns and focuses. You see a puff of smoke comes out of this helicopter engine. He kind of looks up and he kind of does and the rotor starts slowly turning, and it seems to be the engine seems to be struggling to actually catch it, and it suddenly bites, and a big puff of black smoke comes out of the engine, and it kind of starts taking off. And you can see the colonel is just stood on the steps looking as the chopper flies, and your eyes kind of watch as the helicopter flies off, and you're kind of drawn in that direction. You see on top of one of the low buildings, there is a machine gun nest, sandbags, bunkers, and there's 2 militiamen with a heavy machine gun, and they are looking like they were covering the landing area as such. Okay. And they just kind of, the machine gun kind of turns as if it's following them as it flies out, and it kind of flies out, and it's heading southeast out of town. And again, round the corner, are you stopping round the corner, Doddy and
we would
Rick?
have walked a bit further on, realised that he's a broken step.
Yeah, okay.
And I would just slow down. I would just quietly look around to see if there's anybody around.
There's a few people around, but they don't seem to be paying much attention to you.
Nobody in earshot, and I would just whisper, Casper. Right, just Casper.
You hear the helicopter engine, and you just see this helicopter heading east-southeast over the buildings away. A little bit of a puff of black smoke kind of pumping out of the engine. It's working, but how long it works for, you're not certain.
Might not make it home.
You'd say that it will probably need quite a lot of maintenance anyway.
I mean, it's quite. This is just a show, isn't it? Effectively, because it's not that far away from Terek.
Oh God,
so,
no! It's 20 kilometers.
Yeah, it is somebody showing off, and
exactly, exactly, definitely showing off. Okay, Isaac, you kind of head around the corner, and you see Doddy and Rick have kind of stopped, and you kind of, all guys, you kind of see each other. Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody in earshot.
There's no one in earshot.
Right?
There's people around, but they're across the street or in buildings or attending gardens. It's a Sunday. If there is ever a day of rest, then maybe this is it. So yeah, you've got a few minutes where you think you're going to be. Yeah,
I'd just say Colonel Wozniak is apparently doing some deals with somebody that they've been calling the Merchant of Terek. That must have been
we
him.
know him.
We know him.
It was.
We've had drinks with him.
His friend of yours?
Oh, I
wouldn't call him a friend.
Is he a powerful man?
Well, he doesn't lift anyway.
He has power in his town. He has connections.
He runs the town. He keeps it in a state of food and water. He is an arsehole.
very harsh.
He sold us out. If you must know, when you ask if he's a friend, he might have been. But...
until he tried to kill us.
Aye.
Well, I don't think Wozniak trusts him that much either. I kind of just nod my head towards the gun emplacement on the roof.
Oh. Aye.
Or else Wozniak knows somebody else who has airborne transport. But I don't think
I wouldn't know who that would be.
We haven't seen any other choppers except for his, right?
You've seen two choppers on the very first day. As you were going across to the hunters in the woods, the cannibals, you did see a Soviet
There's like a mill.
Chopper, yeah. There's a Mill 8 or Mill 9 or something like that. Soviet chopper, which were heading over your position back towards Kalisz. And that was also in a terrible, terrible state as well. But apart from those two, you probably haven't seen any sort of helicopters or aircraft in probably 18 months. They won't run on alcohol. They need to have specialized aviation gasoline to run.
What are the state of the buildings around us in the town centre?
The town centre is pretty much... it's in fairly good condition. You would have noticed that some of the buildings have been shelled, but some of the buildings in this area have been repaired. There's evidence of not new construction of full buildings, but repairs have been done to make this area much better than the rest. You know, just going off this central area, there's a few more damaged buildings, but this central area with the park, it's looking in pretty good state.
Which building did they carry the stretcher into?
It was the one next door to the militia building.
We didn't see that.
No.
You didn't see that, no.
We didn't.
You saw
Yeah.
it. You saw
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
This merchant, did he have family or something? Somebody was carried on a stretcher into that building over there. Must be making some kind of deal for medical.
Well,
treatment.
we did put a couple of slugs into his favorite bodyguard who tried to kill us.
He must think quite a bit of him.
Ex-KGB.
I never got the impression that he did, but who knows? Maybe they're in love with each other.
Make a mental note of the building that he's gone into. Might be useful later.
Okay, yeah. You continuing your look around town.
Yeah.
Aye.
You continue on, and you come almost not a full circle, but you come to an area that's slightly more industrial. You can see a railway crossing, and you can see some train tracks, and kind of just stopping, just a look left and right. You can see the tracks going east are pretty damaged, but the tracks going west, you can see the station, and there seems to be about 8 or 9 sidings just past the station area, a goods depot or something. But you can see a lot of the main line is there. Some of the sidings have had rails lifted or moved. Looks like some of them have been used to repair the main line. You can see one of the, I say old, it's an armoured train carriage, big Soviet red star on the side of it, with some windows, no train or anything, but just this carriage. Stairs up on one side, there is some concrete breeze blocks around the bottom, and it's just parked on one of the sidings just past the station. Looks like an armoured train, basically. Windows are there, but they've got mesh on the outside. Yeah.
That was the colonel's, what, his residence or his office, or
residence, office, secure location, possibly any or all of these. But you take a note of that. And as you are distracted, there's a from behind you.
We haven't really stopped walking as such. We're still.
No, you haven't stopped walking, but there is, from behind you. You kind of stop and turn
around,
and you can see two militiamen. You kind of look. Papers, please. And holding his hand out.
Okay. I'm going to pat myself down just so that I can get the attention of Dodd and Rick, and they can see me take the papers out again.
Okay.
And I just
do the same. Just kind of reach in casually, just kind of like just like it's matter of course.
I kind of look at you, and he starts looking at your papers first. Isaac, what are you doing up by the rail lines? What's your business here?
It's a Sunday afternoon stroll.
Okay.
We're looking for somebody to trade with. That is, not looking for somebody to trade. That's the wrong kind of business. We're looking for someone to trade with.
He kind of hands you back your papers and grabs Grayson's paper, looks at them. Sunday walk. And again, checks Doddy's papers. Well, do not hang around the station. Move along.
Certainly, officer. Is he officer? No, certainly private.
No, they're just certainly sir is probably the appropriate thing as to appreciate the police.
Yeah.
And they kind of turn and put their backs to you and walk away from you. You guys are so freaking lucky. Okay, first check was 2 2s. Second check, 2 4s.
Oh, you see, next one. Maybe not so lucky.
Maybe not so lucky.
Yeah, it's getting close.
So you, again, keep walking.
Vacate the area.
And head back now down towards the southern area of the town. And again, you can see a bit more devastation and definite smell. But then you can smell something fresher, water. And as you continue to walk down, you hear birds again. And you can smell the river. And you can smell coal burning. And as you kind of continue moving on, you come across an area where the river is, there's some docks, and you can see a longboat with an engine in it and puffing out black smoke. You can smell that distinctive smell of coal burning. You can see workers on the docks, and they seem to be unloading some bags, possibly grain or something like that, and they're taking them off. You can see a very old, grizzled individual, pipe hanging out of his mouth. Must be in his 60s or 70s, and he's leaning against the wheel as some civilians, under the supervision of 2 militia guardsmen, are unloading some cargo off this boat and loading it onto a wagon. And there's a horse there that's just nuzzling itself, trying to find some food on the dock side. You can smell fish and rotting fish. And looking down, you can see there are some people fishing on the river itself. Some nets, some baskets, some people with fishing rods, a couple of kids that are there fishing, and the river itself doesn't look the cleanest, but then what river is clean water? There's no raw smell of sewage, but you can see there is some debris in the river itself. There's some, a couple of, on one side, some smashed and broken boats. On a bit further down, where there's a building on the river's edge, half of the brick and the mortar of the building has fallen into the river, making a little bit of a blockage there. On this Sunday morning, fair amount of activity, unloading. You can see some women on the far side using water out of the river itself, and they are washing clothes. Big barrel buckets snipping water out, and it doesn't look the cleanest water, but it's not filthy dirty. You don't see people drinking it, but they tend to be washing clothes and wringing them out. And old Polish women.
Poznan, right?
Huh?
It's running down from Poznan, right?
Yeah, I mean the river basically goes.
It's probably sterile.
Yeah, well, shit happens. But yes, the river basically goes west along, then goes a little bit north, and then into Poznan, and then the East River tends to get a bit narrow, so you can't do much travelling on the east side of it. But yeah, definitely a hive of activity and a hive of people trying to get on with things.
I wonder if any of these people would know where we could find somebody to trade with.
Well, you can see the women are on the far side. There is a bridge going across. You can see there is the captain on the boat. And there's the workers.
Have we moved sufficiently on from the carriage so that we're no longer considering loitering if we kind of?
Oh yeah. You've moved about. You've moved away from the station area and the train tracks.
Yeah.
You're now in an area that is a bit further south. You can see the river is there,
sure.
And you see there's more people hanging around here, but they seem to be doing things. There are a couple of people that are just loitering and stood there taking a break.
Yeah, I say, come on, let's go stand on the bridge and just watch what's going on for a bit.
Sounds good enough to me. Okay,
you move across the bridge, and yeah, you look, and there definitely seems to be quite a bit of activity here. Again, the people that are fishing looks like they are pulling out some fish. How good that fish is.
How many heads they have?
Well, exactly. How many
ready cooked?
Yeah. Food is food. People have to eat. How bad it's not like it was a full nuclear holocaust. It was just a few tactical nukes dumped here and there and everywhere. Warsaw got hit, Poznan got hit, but a lot of the other towns and the areas haven't been hit. So it's just the devastation of people surviving, and that's the sort of idea you're getting from this reconnaissance around, this trek around. You're seeing that there is a bit of suffering, but there's also people getting on with their lives.
Looking down the river, is there any obvious checkpoints that we can see other than obviously the docks? There's two guards you mentioned, but
there's two guards on the docks. Looking down towards the west area going out. No, you can see it soon flits out into the main river, and you can't see any checkpoints from here. You've got fairly good vision, but you can't see any major checkpoints. The river kind of goes out west, and it just kind of goes and bends around and heads out of the town. but there's definitely no checkpoints that you can see.
Are we identified anywhere where it appears that there might be like a collection of like merchants, like a merchant's quarter?
Yeah, like a merchant.
Okay, just make a quick recon roll for me. Either you can make individual rolls, or one person can roll and have +1, whichever one you think is going to give you the more chance of success.
I'll help you. Oh wait, if we roll something, we get a chance for XP or leveling it or
you
something?
You do, yes, you do. Yeah, you do.
I might have.
Yeah, I'm rolling.
Okay.
Not today.
Oh, man. Wow. It's a good job that Kobe
It's hiding.
sent us out to do some recon.
Yeah, we're great at it. We're doing great. We know everything about this place.
Yeah. Okay, you kind of look around and yeah, you can't see anything that is pretty obvious. You can see the horse now leading or being led out by a worker with some bags loaded on the back and heading straight into the main town area.
Seems like they're going to go and sell that stuff, right?
Possibly.
So, perhaps we should follow the horse.
Who's on the?
Okay.
Who's riding it? Who's?
There's just a civilian, probably 22, 23-year-old young man. Fairly simple clothing. He's leading the horse by reins and leading it as the horse is pulling the wagon. So he's not riding it, he's going fairly slowly. There's 4 or 5 bags on the back. Large bags.
These are things that have been unloaded from the barge, right?
Yeah. For Doddy, you being on the farm, it definitely looks like something that it will possibly have bags of grain, looking at the size and shape. You know, farming is farming all over the world. You tend to use the same stuff, and, you know, you are a farmer at heart. So, yeah, it could be grain. Kind of early for a harvest, so maybe it's been stored somewhere else, and maybe it came from last year's harvest. You know, you wouldn't expect to harvest any grain this time of year, but, you know.
Isaac, you said, like, follow or something. You said Isaac said something, didn't he?
Yeah, I guess there's a chance that he's going somewhere to sell that.
Aye. Maybe you could just go and ask him. Would that? And I'll look around.
Yeah, that wouldn't rouse suspicion, would it?
No, it's people. Yeah. There are people do talk. They're not keeping themselves to themselves. The people are talking. You do see conversations going on.
Yeah.
You know, you've kind of just kept moving and not really stopped and interacted with people. You've just been.
Yeah, we stopped on the bridge.
Yeah. But getting some fresh air and leaning across.
I say quietly to Isaac, just go and see if you can find out where he's going without. That'll stop us from having to follow him. We could maybe he'll just tell us, eh?
Yeah, I'll wander across the road.
Leaving the 2 non-Polish speakers on the bridge.
Well,
together.
that's yeah. I mean,
well, you kind of stride across.
I'm opening this up for any kind of drama that we can milk out of it, right?
Yeah,
it's gonna be
absolutely.
Great.
Yeah,
let's do it.
What could go wrong? It's, you know.
Let's do it.
We're not that far away.
Yeah, you're not that far away.
Leaning on the bridge, looking down the river.
You see, Pies just nuzzles your leg as he's kind of stops and. Just kind of like he's looking over at the water and looking down at the water. Okay, so Isaac, you kind of head over to the gentleman or the guy that's leading the horse. You're going, morning.
Morning. you heading somewhere to sell this?
Taking it to the merchant, yes. It's his stuff, not mine. Just doing my job.
The merchant, what does he sell anything in particular or buy anything in particular? We got things to sell, that was all.
Yeah, we'll probably take a look at them. It depends what you're after for them. Yeah, straight down there, Fritz. Fritz Handler's his name. He's German.
Oh.
Don't worry about him. He has good Polish, but a very strange individual.
German.
Exactly, German. East German, I believe. Didn't like the reunification. Ended up here. He almost died last year, though. Yeah.
Cholera?
I do not know what it was, but he was very sick. Anyway, I must go. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you.
Kind of goes off, leaving Doddy and Rick there, enjoying the smells of the river. You can see a young lad kind of pulls a fish out. No more than 14, 15, Doddy. You had kids this age that you possibly took fishing. It's a sort of thing that you do, you know, reminding you of home once again. And it is peaceful here, you know. It's quite strange. You haven't heard a gunshot go off in... That's 2 days now you haven't heard a gunshot. It's been...
Because they hang people.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
But, you know, got to catch them first.
Yeah, I thought he was just listening to the sound of the river gurgling, and he said there was a bit where it was running a bit faster because there was a building collapsed into it.
Yeah, building collapsed into
noise.
it. Yeah, it's definitely there, and
sounds reminds him of the mill towns that
exactly, yes. And yeah, you kind of look the other way, going onto the east side of the river, and you can see. Strangely enough, you can see a water wheel in the river, and you can see some people outside a building that working, and you can see a bit further down. You can see people making bricks. Got clay, and there's piles of bricks being produced. So there's definitely is some basic industry going on in Conan. It definitely seems to be. It's kind of strange. It's almost like the war or the struggle is not so harsh in here. It's not peacetime, but it seems. It's almost like you can take a moment and not feel that stress that you've had for the last week. As Isaac, you head back to your two colleagues. It's getting on now to lunchtime. Okay, you're back.
Yeah. It's the East German. His name's Fritz.
Well, you're gonna have to be front man on that if we're gonna use him.
Okay. So what are we trading? You want fuel, right?
Yep. I imagine he'd probably be interested in the weapons we have.
Well,
but I wouldn't know how to go offering them to him.
Hey.
Or getting them into town.
No, we can worry about that. Maybe after we made a deal. I will lead them down in the direction of the merchant.
Okay, you head back into the center of the town, and you're a little bit off of the main area. where the town hall is. And you can see a definite shop front. A large window, a door there. You can see outside the shop, there's a could be 8-10-year-old boy stood there in clothes with an apron around his waist, and there's a table, and you kind of think back to pre-war when you know, bananas and fruits of all nature out there, and you can see there's a sparse basic commodities. There's glass jars with red substance in it. You can see and smell more than anything bread, fresh bread. And you can see a loaf of bread there. And you can see the sign on the shop in Polish says Handler Mercantile, effectively translated.
Well, Stasi recruit them young.
Right.
And you can see inside the store is an older man, white, close-cut beard. You can see a pair of glasses on his face. Hair is sitting on the side, greying on the sides, slightly darker down the middle. And again, he seems to have almost a laboured breathing. Wearing clothes. He's got an apron around his waist. Every now and again, as if he's struggling with some breathing. And he comes and starts talking to the boy. You can see just round the side of the building, you can see the horse and the cart part, and you can see the individual he spoke to is unloading these bags through a side door, and definitely talking to someone else in the building. So that's at least 2 in the building. And you can see this individual comes outside, and he's looking at the meager things on his shelves. And
is it just food that he's...
It's basically some food. And you can see as you're kind of walking across towards him, you're not rushing, taking your time. You can see a woman comes out of the shop, and he turns and seems to be thanking her. She's got a basket, a wicker basket, and inside you can see there's a small loaf of bread. There's a glass jar. There's a couple of potatoes, and there's something else wrapped up in some brown paper. And she kind of thanks him, and he just kind of talks to her, and she shows up a book, and you know that's a ration book that she's got, and he looks at it and smiles. And she kind of turns, and she kind of clutches the basket close to her as she walks away. And again, the smell of that fresh bread is there as you cross the road. You can see he kind of looks up and sees you approaching, smiles. Good morning. Polish with that definite German accent. What can I do for you?
You just trade food?
Ration books, yes. We have that. Or are you meaning something else?
Something else.
Yeah. Please come in. Let us see if we can help you out. He smiles at Doddy and Rick. Are your friends coming in too, or are they staying outside?
Well, we're all coming in.
Of course. He kind of steps to the door, opens the door and walks in. Please come in. You can see that inside the shop there is a fire burning, and you can see there's a little bit of coal on there, and it's not a raging fire, but there is a little bit of extra warmth in here. An extravagance, I know, but sometimes you need to have that homely feeling. And you can see there's several candles scattered around.
Nice touch.
He kind of goes behind the counter, and you can see on the shelves there's a few things, some boxes. You can see rather a large selection of packet cigarettes. Again, something that you haven't seen a lot of since the war happened as such. You can see there's jars. You can see he's got bottles of some beer. He's got a variety of different things. You can actually see there's no chill cabinet, but there is a block of cheese on a plate with like a cover over it. So
I walk in, having dealt with pies, told him to sit quietly. I lean down and lean in his ear and just quietly say, sit. And you're not supposed to do this, but I push his butt down to the ground because he won't understand me.
Okay, and leave him outside. Okay.
Now just look at him on the way and just go, point down at the ground and look stern.
Okay, make a command roll.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Fucking dog.
You should have said nothing.
No, but then he would have had him eating the bloody cheese off the plate. There we go, that's about right.
But it's going to do it anyway.
It does whatever it wants.
It's going to do it anyway.
Okay, well, you kind of push its arse down, it sits.
And stands up again.
And yeah, you kind of go into the shop. Yeah. You can also see on the shelves tinned products, tinned foods. You can see one tin has a wrapping around it, and it's got a picture of a peach on it. A tin of peaches.
Yeah.
So, what are you after?
We were told you might be able to help us out with some fuel. My friends and I, we've taken on a farm just outside of town.
Then you need more fuel than your ration allows you.
Yes. We were told that maybe you could help us locate some.
Okay. Could you roll a d6, Mark, for me?
I might be able to if you tell me what it was for.
Roll it good.
Well, we don't know what good is. That's the problem.
Oh, just roll it and we'll see.
I'm just saying,
It's
that's
a
probably
one.
not
That's
good.
got to be good. Yeah. Yeah. One's good, right?
No, you needed a 3 or more.
What? No.
Can he push it?
Yes, you can.
No, we can't. I am sorry, I do not have any fuel. At the moment, I have used what extra I had, and until the fuel bowser comes tomorrow to replenish my stocks, I have none available, I'm afraid. But tomorrow, you come back tomorrow, and then perhaps we can do some business. What do you have to trade?
What do you want?
Well, I am open to taking most things. What of value do you have to trade for fuel?
We have some weapons that we've found.
Okay. Weapons. You have ammunition?
We have some ammunition. What we've managed to find scattered around at the farm.
Well, ammunition is always good. What sort of ammunition do you have?
7.62 millimeter.
And how much fuel are you looking for?
As much as we can get. There's a lot of machinery out on this farm. We want to see if we can get it working. Well, obviously, whatever we are able to produce, it obviously benefits the town and maybe somebody like yourself.
It is unusual to hear an entrepreneur in these times.
You're doing all right for yourself?
I do what the state needs me to do. I provide food and supplies for the town. I take rations and I deal with that. How much ammunition do you have? And guns? How many guns do you have?
I can't remember, but I'm sure somebody...
You've got one AK-74 that's not being used. Yep. You also picked up one of the AK-74s.
Yeah.
And I think you've got a couple of... You've probably got three AK-74s that aren't being used or only being used by you.
Right.
I also would have reminded you about the vehicle parts and the electrical parts before we walked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. 3 AK-74s. We've also... we have some vehicle parts from a vehicle that was too badly damaged to repair. Some tires, electrical parts.
I think we will be able to do some business.
But tomorrow.
I have no fuel in stock until the fuel bowser comes. It does its run on a Monday morning. It comes from out of town, from the power station where the still is.
Any particular time of the day?
Well, they leave at just after 9, and by the time they get here, probably midday. But if you, right, he pulls a piece of paper out and pulls out a pen, and you can see he wiggles one of the candles to check the wax is moving. Okay, I will give you a pass that you can present to the guards to bring in the weapons and the ammunition. And he starts writing out a note.
Okay.
And it basically is along the lines of these men are transporting in some weapons and ammunition for the militia via him. Puts his name, and you see he pulls out from under his tunic, and at that point he kind of just coughs. He just notices that just a little bit of blood is out the side. He kind of pulls a handkerchief, just kind of wipes the blood. Oh, excuse me. And kind of pulls out this. It would almost look like a coin on a chain, and he kind of pours some wax in, picks up some tweezers, and puts the coin into the wax. Just kind of pulls it out, and it kind of dries very, very quickly. You'll need to present that to the guards. I have put on there that you're bringing in a number of recovered weapons and ammunition. That should get you through the guards. If you have any problems, you tell them to come and see me.
Thank you very much.
We will sort out your fuel. Do you have your own jerry cans, or will you need to?
No, we may need to.
It will be a reduction in the, or an increase in the cost, but I'm sure we can work out something.
Thank you.
Pleasure. I hope to do a business with you, and I will, of course, need to see your papers.
I hand my paper to him.
Kind of looks at it.
Yeah.
So he pulls out a ledger book, just kind of writes down your name on there. Thank you. Just for the paperwork, the militia make sure that they keep. They must know things like this, so it is protecting me and you.
It's good to keep your accounts in order.
We have to keep our accounts in order. So tomorrow, just after midday, come back and we can sort this out. He kind of is kind of looks up almost at the silent Doddy and silent Grayson, just kind of almost like takes his almost like a shiver down his spine at their absolute silence, you know. All right, well, thank you. I must get on. I have some stock to sort out. It's been a pleasure doing business with you.
Good day.
Yes, good day. Good day.
We will leave without being too creepy about it.
Okay, yeah, you creepily go out. Okay, you gotta go outside, and Doddy Pies is not there. But you can see him across the street, and there's another dog that he's sniffing the arse off. And,
I contemplate for a moment just
leaving him.
But then I take a couple of steps, and as we're walking in the way that we're walking, without looking at him or looking round to see if he's following, I just do a couple of whistles and see if he doesn't.
Before you go to whistle, he must sense something as he kind of looks and comes bounding over to you with his two successes on the recon roll, noticing that his master is there, and he comes up and he goes, yes,
He's a good boy.
nuzzles your leg, and as you
reach down and ruffle his head a little bit and keep walking.
And you head away, and feeling the slight pangs of hunger, you head out of Conan through the checkpoint. You see the tank is there as you leave. Guards make some comment about you going out hunting. Hope you have better luck this time with those squirrels.
Oh, I'm feeling pretty lucky.
And you head out of town and back into the woods and back to the little home base that you've got at the moment, and head back and brief Kobe on what you've seen, heard and discovered on your successful reconnaissance missions to Conan.